Welcome to Biblical Perspectives on the Holy Spirit. Today we will look at the Holy Spirit and how we can live a holy life. People today have strangely become insensitive to the holiness of God. We have forgotten how much God hates sin and all evil. The distinction between the holy and the profane that is so important in biblical thought is blurred and often non-existent. Holiness, however, is an important biblical subject. The pursuit of holiness, to become loving and pure like Jesus, is a priority for every Christian, even though it often is a sadly neglected subject in Christianity at large. It seems as if we have fashioned God after our own thinking when we speak of Him more as a good pal rather than being a pure and holy being. We have also come to associate images of holiness that fall far short of what God has in mind. We are rightly appalled by an "I am holier than you" attitude, but at the same time have forgotten what it means to live a pure and sanctified life. We have lost the insight that God's holiness has something very fascinating about it and attracts our attention and at the same time evokes responses of reverence. God's love and His holiness belong together. Without God's holiness, His love would be in danger of becoming sentimentalism. Without His love, God's holiness would be stern and inapproachable. Both attributes, His love and His holiness, are foundational to His nature. The Holy Spirit is closely connected with our pursuit of holiness. After all, His name is Holy Spirit, and He is called the Spirit of Holiness, Romans 1:4. His name reminds us that God is holy and that it is God's great desire to make sinners like He is holy. But what does it mean that God is holy? God's holiness means that He is separated from sin and entirely devoted to seeking only the good that He represents in Himself. In other words, holiness denotes a relational quality as well as a moral quality. As such, God's holiness is the basis, I believe, and foundation of all His other character qualities. If God were almighty but not holy, He would be a tyrant, but He would not be worthy of our adoration. If God were omnipresent but not holy, we would be afraid. But His power is holy power. His love is holy love. God's holiness is the reason for our holiness. As holy God, He desires us to be like Him. But how does this work? How do we become holy and more like Jesus? I believe holiness is achieved by faith alone, just as our justification is accomplished by faith in Jesus Christ alone. The fight we have to fight is described by Paul in the Epistle to the Hebrews in chapter 12 and there, verse 1 and 2. He writes, "Let us lay aside every weight and the sin which so easily ensnares us, and let us run with endurance the race that is set before us, looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith." Yes, there is a fight we have to fight. And the Apostle Paul says that the fight consists in our looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith. As children, we loved to play a game where we took a broom with a long stick and we would try to balance it on one single outstretched finger. Now, in order to balance a long stick on one finger, you have to do one thing: look up. If you look up, the stick will not fall. But the moment you look to your finger, the moment you look to yourself, you can try to balance the stick as hard as you may, it will always fall. The same is true in our spiritual fight. If you look to Him, to Jesus, you will stand victoriously. You will not fall. But if you look at your faults and sins, if you look at yourself, you will fall. And if you compare yourself with other people, you will also fall. But as long as you focus on Jesus, you will not fall, and even more than that, you will be transformed into His image. By beholding, we are changed. May this also be our and your experience every day. This is my prayer.